Welcome everybody. This is Dawn and it's a beautiful day in the villages today, and we'll be working today on the EZ10 and the Fanfare. But Journey people and EZ4 people, hopefully you'll be able to get a lot out of this. The reason I'm at such an odd angle like this is because I'm just going to put this right on the instrument so that you can see what's going on with the instrument. You don't really need to see me. Okay? The first thing I'm going to do is play a song. Why? Because I can. And we are right now on the EZ10. And the first song I'm going to play is Red Sails in the Sunset. This was one of my dad's favorite songs, so that's why I decided to pull this one out. So here we go, Red Sails in the Sunset. Okay, all right. That was using the Mix Pianist rhythm preset or setup number 5. And then I also used a feature that was inside the window called transpose. Now what we're going to do is we're actually going to work here left to right. We're not going to do the entire instrument. I'm going to start all the way over here. Oh, let's see, we got to get that whole thing in here. Puts me at an awkward place, but that's all right because you guys just need to see what's going on here. It's all printed out, and if you click on that, you'll be able to get that. And not everything on this sheet is in the EZ10. So you're going to have to, if you've got the EZ10, you're going to have to mark the ones that you don't have. And by the way, you might want to put a note next to it and say, I want this on my next keyboard. So when you do decide to upgrade, we can say, aha, we know what you need. All right, so you always want to work left to right. And that's when you're setting up your music. So the first thing you have over here is called a master volume. Master volume. Now right now my master volume is only at 3. And that's just because of the way it got hooked up in the mixer. But I'm going to give you a little tip. The best way to set your master volume when you first start, so you don't blast out everybody, is take your foot pedal and push it all the way down. Pedal to the metal, push your master volume down to 0, and then just play a chord. And while you're playing a chord, and it's going to say 0, you're going to up the master volume slowly until it's as loud as you want it. Because now your foot pedal can always bring it softer. But because you had it pedal to the floor, that's as loud as it will ever be. So that's just a good way to set your master volume. And that way you'll kind of have an idea of what you need for master volume. Moving right along, we have underneath here, we have a home button. The home button is a reset. So if you've been punching too many things, punch, 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 and you don't know where you are, instead of shutting the organ off and turning it back on, touch your home button, and that's a reset button, and everything will recycle. It's a little bit easier on the electronics than just turning it off and on. Your ABCs, that's just the lights. The lights go on for the ABCs. Sometimes you want it, sometimes you don't. Pedal Magic I'll get back to. You have a graphic mixer, or on the EZ10 it's called volumes, because that's exactly what a graphic mixer is. It is volumes. All right, the bass is orange, and everything is color coded. Style is blue. Why is it blue? Because it matches the music styles. What is style? It's everything in between the drums or the bass. The lower is gray, and that is your lower chord sound. If I just put easy on, play a chord, that lower turns my chord up and down. That's the lower chord sound. Now, on the EZ10, your lower sounds are actually gray over on the right-hand side. These are the only two buttons that we're going to look at over on this side. And it says lower, and it says ensemble and more. And you can go in there and change everything that you need to do. Ensemble, if you touch it, it's going to come up in the window. Right now it says strings. You can scroll to vocals or vocals and strings or whatever it is that you want. That says 8+4 organ. Now, why am I getting a clunk? Because that's the piano that's actually in the more button. If I turn that off, I just get a nice, soft organ, and it just hums. And any 3 fingers in a row will turn that off. So that's what the lower is. And you can make it as loud as you need it in your music style or as soft as you want it. Because really, that's all a graphic mixer is volumes. Any questions so far? Nope, we doing good? All right.
I don't see any questions. You're doing great.
All right, let's continue. Orc Plus, well, guess what? The EZ10 does not have this, so we're going to back up, and we'll pick up Orc Plus when we move over to the Fanfare, which is next to me on the other side here. Balance, aha. That's also something you may want to put on a wish list, because this organ does not have balance. Okay, bass pedals and pedal magic. Ah, you do have a little bit of pedal magic. What does pedal magic actually do? This organ, the EZ10, allows you to do easy long and short pedals. If you're playing a chord, the long pedal plays the root, and the short pedal plays the fifth of the chord. Bum, 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 bum. And it doesn't matter which long pedal, so you don't have to be bouncing your foot back and forth. You can just play a long pedal, then play a short pedal. Long, short. And if you like doing that, that's a wonderful thing. Let's keep moving over. Lower left. We already talked about that. Auto bass 1 and 2. Nope, we don't have an auto bass 1 and 2 on this one. Again, something that's on the Fanfare. Music styles. This is the fun part. This is a real fun part. This is a part that the last time I did one of these classes, I actually gave you some suggestions for a whole bunch of songs. I'm not going to do that this time, but I just want you to know what these are. Every single one of these is 4/4 with the exception of your waltz. Your waltz. Oops, somebody coming in. Oop, can't find. There we go. Thank you, Joni. You have 3 performers on each one of these music styles. Now you have 6 on the Fanfare for each button, and you have 12 on the Journey. So each one of these buttons offers several different styles and performers. So I can have a standard full band, which is Frank and the Count. I can have a pianist, which is a 2-beat piano. And you always, where am I getting that from? I'm reading it in the window. It tells me on the 3rd line what the style is. And then I also can go to a guitarist and it says guitar swing. Now each one of these backgrounds changes the tempo because your style setup is on. Your style setup is your I don't know what I'm doing button. And when you have this on, and it defaults to this every time you turn your instrument on, this one will come on automatically. So it's going to set up a tempo for you. It's going to choose which sounds are going with it, and it's going to balance it for you. One thing you have to remember is the drums volume. Now we'll get over to drums volume in a minute. Any questions about choosing music styles? Let me just make one comment about smooth and ballad. If you have a slower 4/4, usually that's going to be your smooth. Any one of the full band, pianist, or guitarists. If you have a 6/8 ballad, or something that says waltz, it says 3/4, but you know it's not a waltz because it doesn't feel right when you played it on waltz, it's probably going to be a ballad. Well, what's the difference between those two? Let's listen. Here's a smooth. That's a smooth full band. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's a very definite 4/4. And it usually divides the beats in two. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So that's what the 4/4s. Usually your smooths are going to be the best for that. If you've got a ballad 6/8, that's when you want to go to your ballad. The full band comes up Wonderful World. Now you're going to say, but that counts to 4 for me. Okay, if you go here, it's actually counting to 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. So where's the 6/8? Listen to the inside beats, or your style beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so that's why ballad is better for some of your 6/8 songs, like Wonderful World. Your pianist gives you the 50s love ballad. Same thing. That's also a little bit more 6/8. It's counting 4/4 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, does that mean you can't play a 4/4 on this? Absolutely not. You use whichever one sounds the best to your ear. You might want to play a 6/8 on smooth, and if it sounds right to you and you're singing the song along with it, it's going to work for you. It's going to be absolutely fine. Now, with the pianist and the guitarist, one thing you have to remember is that drums volume. Drums volume, it's right here. You have a picture of the drums. A picture. There's a drum set there. Okay, when you first put it on pianist, you must put, or I shouldn't say must, you never have to do anything you don't want to do, but your volume for your drums is going to help you keep the beat. Aha! There's your drums, and you can make it as loud or as soft as you want, up or down. It's going to show in your window. The dots are going to go across in your window. Okay. Your guitarist, same thing. When it's on style setup, your guitarist is going to show up with something. Let's go up to a smooth guitarist. Now that's a really pretty background. But where's the beat? It's a very easy one to get off the beat unless you add the drummer to help you stay in time. So don't forget that. It's just better to get that drummer going as soon as you put on a pianist or a guitarist. Unless you have some kind of a special introduction that you're trying to play and you don't want the drummer in yet. Okay, let's go down the list. Oh, we missed a couple of things, didn't we? The easy button, right in this section here. You have 3 gray buttons, actually a white one and 2 gray ones. The easy button, an MCS, and a memory. Okay, now I have written some things next to it. It says when you turn on a music style, Easy comes on automatically. Don't push it again. And I'll take responsibility for that one. A lot of people will say, okay, I want country and I want easy. Well, what did I just do? I just shut everything off. And people go, ha, my organ's broken. And they call me up and say, you know what? Something's going on. My organ's not working. It comes on automatically with country. Now, I'm taking responsibility for that because when I have you come to class and we play together in class, I'm the one that gets to put on the country background or whatever background we happen to be using. I always tell you, go ahead and put that easy button on because you want the chord. You want that chord to play, and then you can play along with me when we're doing this in class. The other time you would just want to use an easy button is if you are playing a hymn or you're playing like a Christmas carol and you don't necessarily want one of your rhythm styles on. So I could go to a setup. So those would be the only two times that you would use easy. A, you're playing along with me in class, or B, you're playing a hymn or a Christmas carol, and you don't want the rhythms. When you push a rhythm, traditional full band, guess what? Easy came on. Now, what are these other two buttons that it turned on? MCS and memory. MCS is music computer system, music chord system. That just turns on your single-fingered chords so that you can play pinky on C and the whole chord will play. The memory holds your chord. Holds the chord. Aha! Let's go over to the lower. Put that all the way to the top. Now you can hear that chord holding. If I turn the memory off, now the minute I lift my finger, the chord stops. For all intents and purposes, we normally want to keep that memory button on so you can hear that lower chord sound going throughout your music. Okay, any questions yet? You're either understanding it all.
You're doing fabulous. No one has any questions.
No one has any questions yet. Okay, very good. Let's continue. Let's continue. We already said that your style setup is the button that, did I even put that on there? Yes, I did. This changes all your presets to be fabulous setups for whichever background you're using. So if you choose a music style and you say rock full band because Mona loves her rock music, style setup chooses two sounds, but it also changes all of these sounds 1 through 5, and we'll get over to the other organ and it'll be 1 through 8. It changes all those to be fabulous sounds for your rock full band or whatever you happen to choose, your waltz full band or your waltz guitarist. It changes all these sounds that many times, and then you have to times 2 because you've got a sound here and you're going to have a sound on the lower keyboard in the lower right as well. Okay. Let's continue down the list. Bank setup. We don't have bank setup in this. General setups. Oh, let's talk a little bit about general setups. General setups are 1 through 5 without the style setup. If I turn off the style setup, and this is true on every single Lowrey organ, if I turn off the style setup, no banks, no categories, this one doesn't have either one of those, then 1 through 5 will be beautiful sounds, top and bottom, that I can use with or without a music style. So if you happen to love the Tabernacle Choir and the chimes, you know that number 5 will always have those two sounds. And by the way, your window is a wonderful place to see that because it will tell you on the fourth line, the bottom line, it's going to tell you tab choir, that's the Mormon Tabernacle Choir, is going to be on the top, / chime. Your chime's going to be on the bottom. Now, if I touch style setup and I'm on guitar waltz, it's a whole different thing. It's piano and strings plus a flugelhorn. So your general setups are 1 through 5 with no style setup. The very first one is piano plus orchestra with vibes on the bottom. And I'm just going to turn off my backgrounds. So it's going to tell you what they all are. 102 strings. If you like your strings, it's number 4. And a violin on the bottom. And again, your tabernacle choir on top with your chimes on the bottom. Those 5 sounds, and again, 8 on your Fanfare and Journey, never change. As long as you do not have this on, you will always have access to those 5 sounds, with or without a rhythm. And a lot of people ignore those because we've just been trained, use style setup. Yeah. And style setup changes all of those to be fabulous sounds for whatever style you're choosing, but do not neglect the fact that you have 10 more sounds available to you at the touch of a button. And all you have to do is put on that number and turn your style setup off. Okay, let's move on to category setups. Don't have it on this one, do we? So we're going to have to go to the information window. And then we're going to move over to the fanfare. All right, the information window. What's actually in here? You have 4 lines in this window. The top 2 lines give you your tempo. Right now it says 85. That's beats per minute. Oops, I don't have anything on. There we go. Tempo 115. That tells me we're going 115 miles an hour. No, it's 115 beats per minute. And if I were to count on my watch, the beats, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, etc., it would be 115 in the space of a minute. The higher the number, the faster the tempo. Your tempo buttons are right here. And it's got a little metronome picture on top of it. So your tempo is how fast you're going. And if I touch the upper button, the tempo gets larger and it goes faster. 140 goes this fast. The next is the chord. It tells me the chord that I am playing, not necessarily the chord that I should be playing. So you're, go slower for me. Let's try something else here. 107, gospel. F chord says F in the window. Now what happens if I bump something? Uh-oh, that doesn't sound right. If you have something that does not sound right, chances are your finger slipped and it's the organ's fault. It's never your fault, by the way. It's always the organ's fault. You slipped and you hit one of the black keys or you did something goofy and it tells me I'm playing a G major 7. Well, I don't want to play a G major 7. So if you glance up and see that the chord is not what you intended to play, then recheck your fingers to make sure that your thumb is indeed just playing the G and you're not bumping something else next to it. Or you didn't accidentally play a D minor 7 flat the 5th when you really only wanted to play a D minor. So those things do happen. If you hear something that doesn't sound right, check the chord in your window to see if it's matching what the chord on your paper says. That's what it's there for. Now the key is something I always get questions about. It says the key is the key of C. Well, what if I'm not playing a song in the key of C? What if I'm playing a song in the key of F? Because in easy play music, a lot of times our songs are in F or they're in G. And it says the key of C. Well, the key of C is just the center key for your instrument, period. If you're playing something in the key of F, you play the chord F and it's playing in F. Okay? This is only for you to know if you're transposing or not. If you transpose, it will change this. Now, the transpose here is in the features. By the way, you heard me transpose in my first song, Red Sails in the Sunset, because I set the transpose before I started to play. If you go to features, this is like your manual in the organ. And right now it says bass pedals, scroll, keyed bass, drums only, touch, organ sustain, lower split, transpose, aha. When it says transpose in the window, I touch select. Now it's available to me to go up or down transposing. And usually when you transpose, when you're making an arrangement, you normally will go up. Let's go back to Red Sails in the Sunset. I was using this one. And I was using this one. When I transpose, now I'm just going to reach up and to go to my scroll buttons. And I'm going to push the top scroll button. Did you hear? The whole organ went up half a step. And in the window it says C sharp because it went up 1/2 step. Okay, if I would touch it again, it goes up to the key of D. You just keep playing what you see. This is just making an arrangement for you. Transposing can get very confusing. So just be aware that in your EZ10, yes, you can transpose. It's the last thing you want to set up. You want to set up left to right, everything first, and then the last thing you do is make sure you go into features and have that in your window. If it's not in your window, you won't be able to do it. So your transpose has to be in your window in order for you to scroll up and down. And then if I go back to, by the way, this feature button takes me, it's also a clear button, it takes me back to my home screen. Questions about the EZ10? No, we're not going over here today. We'll go over there the next time we do this. We've already done an awful lot just for staying right here. Any questions so far?
Not seeing any questions.
Not seeing any questions. Okay. I am going to move the camera, so give me a minute. I have to get the camera moved over to the Fanfare. Oh, these Zoom stations are really something, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
All right. Wow. There's our...
But we're all getting much better at it.
I think we are too. I think the more we do it,
yeah.
I actually learned how to screen share. Woohoo!
Woohoo! Yay!
Yay!
I was just screen sharing your materials for you. So.
Yeah, I saw that. Thank you. All right. So there's stuff on. This is the Fanfare, by the way, and there's stuff on here that's completely different from the EZ10. Now, if you've got an EZ10, congratulations. Hopefully, you'll say, you know what? I kind of like what some of these things are doing on the Fanfare. So we have to get over here to that left-hand side because that's what we're actually working on is that left-hand side. But you can see there's more stuff. But the nice thing about Lowrey is that when you go from one organ to your next instrument, the EZ10 is in here. So everything that you know transfers to this one. You just have more stuff. Yay! More stuff is always good. All right, so what do we have over here that's different? Oh, you know what I forgot? I forgot the golden harp, didn't I? I most certainly did. Going left to right, we have the master. We have a reverb, which is something new. Don't worry too much about that. All that does is tells you if you're playing and it sounds kind of dry or it gives you a little bit more ringing. Let's give it no reverb. Let's give it a lot of reverb. It just gives it more presence. Your reverb gives it more presence, like you're playing in a bigger room or a big auditorium. If you put it all the way to 0, it's going to sound like you're playing in a closet. So that sets up automatically for you, so you don't even have to worry about it. All right, your bass is your volumes. And again, it says graphic mixer here, but this is all volumes. Your style is exactly like we explained on the EZ10. That's all the inside stuff, not your bass and drums. And your lower is your lower chord. Now, unlike the 10, your lower left chords are actually listed right here, which is a great place for them because it's real close by, and it's real close by your left hand. So now you have a choice of 3 different things that you can put in your lower left chord. They should have added an extra word here, lower left chord, because now you can have all your organs in one, all your ensembles, which would be like strings and vocals, vocals and strings, and then the more is going to be your percussive sounds, like a piano. Oh, stop that. I just want easy. Like your percussive sounds. Piano, your different pianos. The problem with putting a piano in your lower is that if you don't also add an ensemble or a flute, that piano sound is going to die. It's going to decay, and you're stuck with just a bass note because the memory is still on. But that piano sound has now gone away.
We call it the plunker.
That's pretty much what it is. So if you are going to use that, add an ensemble or add your flutes so that it helps hold that. Then it'll give you that piano sound, but it's also going to hold your beautiful string sound for your chords. Now again, that's going to come up absolutely automatically as long as your style setup is turned on. And usually when you turn on the instrument, that comes up. Let's do some pedal magic. We did a little pedal magic over on the 10. Pedal magic here has more stuff. When you push pedal magic, you can get long, short. It's going to tell you here. You can do more than just long, short. You can do get close. And that's if you like to play pedals. Guys, put your high heels on because Joni plays pedals the best with her high heels. So make sure you wear them because that'll help you to get close. All you have to do is get close to the pedals and it should play the correct bass. Now, I am not a pedal player at all. So those 2 things don't do anything for me. But this one does. It says fill. It says fill. So now, instead of having to use my foot switch to the left, where my fill is to the right. Instead of having to use my foot switch, I can put it on a lower pedal. So on a long pedal. So all I have to do if I'm playing a song, let's just put on Smooth Pianist. Oh, why not? Okay, make sure my drums are up. If I put on a long pedal, hear the drummer change and give me some nice fill-ins. If I go to the march, if I touch fill, the minute I let go, the fill is going to finish the measure. I can also kick my foot if I wanted to do it. And you can see the light go off. Or I can take my foot and touch a long pedal. And then I don't have to worry about the volume going crazy. The longer I hold it, the more stuff it does. The minute I let go, it finishes the measure and then quits. So that's a great feature, having it on your pedal. If I touch Pedal Magic again, it goes to glide sustain, because that's always a tough one too. If you're on something like a trombone, or you're trying to twang your country guitar, let's try to twang a guitar here. You have to kick that foot switch to the left. Come on. There it is. And that's what happens. You sometimes miss. Sometimes the volume goes crazy. It's a lot nicer to put it on that lower long pedal, any long pedal. Just touch one of them, and it will detune the entire keyboard. So touch the pedal, play the note, release your pedal. The perfect glide every time. So glide sustain on your lower pedals is a wonderful thing. And that's something that everybody who's got an EZ10 or an EZ4, write down, I need glide, sustain, and fill on my lower long pedals. And then you'll know what to get for your next instrument. Okay, what else do we have over on this side? We have 2 basses. You have a button here that says Auto Bass. Now when I touch it, you have to look here, because it's going to tell you Auto Bass 1, or no bass, Auto Bass 1, or Auto Bass 2. Now what is that actually doing? It's just telling you you're firing one bass player and hiring the next guy, and he's going to do something just a little bit different. So if I go to a country full band, he comes up to Auto Bass 1 automatically. Now let's take out everything else. Remember, my mixer is just volumes. We're going to take out the style. We're going to take out the drummer. There's your drum volume. We're going to take out the lower chord. What do we have left? The bass player. What happens if I send a different bass player in? I'm going to touch Auto Bass. Oh, you're hired. I like you. So this bass player is doing something completely different. And that's going to happen on every single rhythm. It's going to give you the option to choose which bass player you want playing your song. And maybe you want this bass player playing the first part of your song, and maybe you want the second bass player playing the second part of your song. So you do have the option. That's called Auto Bass. You've got a little round circular button right next to your Pedal Magic. Your square buttons over here are bass sounds. Bass sounds. Now once you touch it, it's going to show up in the window. It says pedal organ 16/8, 16 and 8, and the more gives me other things. A finger slap bass, a fretless bass, a mellow piano. That all comes up with the sounds that are the square orange buttons over here. And again, if you're using style setup, which is the I don't know what I'm doing button, choosing any rhythm chooses all of this automatically for you. So you don't really need to know what those are, but it is kind of nice to have all that information on hand. Okay, now the transpose. We talked about transposing on the other instrument, where I had to go into the feature clear and scroll, and that's the last thing I needed to do to set up. People that have EZ10s, I want you to put on your wish list. I like the transpose being right here on board, because now if I want to go up half a step, I don't have to find it in the window because I forgot to set it up. I can just touch the top one, aha, and it just goes up a complete half step. And then if I get too high, I just touch them both at the same time, and it takes me right back to the key of C, or it just centers my organ to that key of C original sound. Okay. We did not get to yet, and I know we're running short on time. I knew this was going to happen. Song setup. Song setup is also on the EZ10, and I skipped it so I could come over here. You have here songs, song setup, and feature. These three white buttons in the underneath the window, and a select button. The select button works with these three buttons. You don't need select when you're doing sounds. You only need the select button if you're using songs, song setup, or feature. If I'm in songs, it's the pre-recorded songs. Once you touch it, everything is scroll and select. Everything. Scroll and select. So if I'm on songs, I want to scroll, Marianne, and select. And it's going to play Marianne for you. And then you can get it in your head, get it in your ears. You can play along with it. If I turn songs off, guess what happens? That setup is still here. So now I can play it. Or you can just play along with it on the top keyboard and let the instrument do your chords for you so you don't have to. So it's like taking the teacher home. Because you know how we always play together in class? Well, you know what? This is exactly like taking the teacher home. That way you can have those songs, you can play along, left hand, right hand, then you can shut the songs off and use it as a preset. The next one is song setup. There are no pre-recorded songs in song setup, but what this does is it takes the guesswork out of this. Because this one, I told you, this one doubles everything that the EZ10 has. It gives you a group 2, so now you have actually 6 different standards, 6 different countries. Song setup is going to choose all that stuff for me so I don't have to. And again, it's scroll, it's all in alphabetical order, scroll till you find a song that you like, and select. Now all the lights change, and now I have a song called Daniel that I'm going to play for you, and it comes up to Latin. Now, what it did do, and this happens on all the Lowreys, by the way, is it turned my style setup off. What it did is it chose 2 particular sounds, or set of sounds, that are perfect for the song Daniel. So every time you do song setup, you have 2 sounds. 2 sounds perfect for the song. And it will shut your style setup off. Remember what happens when you shut style setup off? Your setups become general setups. So you got to be careful that you don't touch one and end up putting chimes where you didn't want chimes in your Daniel song. So first start with the 2 sounds that are here. And here we go. Expression pedal to just fade it out. And if you get to a point where you can still hear it, then you just take your master volume and pull it all the way down, and then you have the perfect fade out. Okay, so song setup. You touch this, you scroll to the song you want. When you get it in the window, you touch select, It changes everything for you. You get a sound here. And it gave me a guitar down here, which I actually should have played it twice and played the guitar on the bottom. But I chose to just end the song early because we are running out of time. Now, if it doesn't have to be that song. If you've got a different song, if you love the setup, you can play any Latin song that you want with the setup for Daniel. So that's one thing good about song setup. Now your feature clear button, that's one where we used over on the EZ10. And if you scroll, it's like having your manual inside the instrument for AOC, editing sounds, the orchestral effect, your solo effect. You probably will never use any of these except for maybe when you get to chaining the songs on your music recorder. Or this one's kind of fun. It says light show. When you have a light show, once it becomes in the window, the select. Remember, the select works on these 3 buttons under your window. So if I turn on the light show, ooh, fun stuff. So at Christmas time, you can just put your light show on and it'll do some fun things. And then you just touch the select button again and it shuts that off. Now there's something on this organ called balance, which was something that we skipped, but balance over here and Orc Plus. We have Golden Harp, Orc Plus, and Balance over here by your music styles. Your Golden Harp is something beautiful that you can use with or without a rhythm. If I just put it on easy, it's going to go up and down, or I can scroll. Now it's going up only. Now it's doing down only. Now it's doing a virtuoso, so it does all these beautiful patterns that you can use with or without a rhythm. How pretty at Christmas time to just put on a golden harp. Now the Orc Plus button, what the heck is that? The Orc Plus button is one of those things that's all the fancy stuff that's inside a rhythm. So if you've got on, oh, let's just go to Frank and the Count, which we all have. If I turn off the Orc Plus, all that bump ba dum bump stuff just shut off. Off. Okay, so basically, turning the Orchestra Plus button off turns that rhythm into a basic rhythm. A lot of times you hear us talking about basic rhythms. The great big organs have that. You do not have a basic button on here, but every single one of your 6 standards can become a basic rhythm just by shutting that Orchestra Plus off, because that's what it's doing. It's simplifying the entire band. If I go to, oh, let's try Broadway full band. If I shut the Orchestra Plus off, it turned off part of my orchestra, and it turned my rhythm into a basic rhythm. So that's what Orc Plus does. Now the balance button, this is one that I absolutely love, because you can now have more bass. If you're a rock and roll player and you love heavy on the bass, you go and push that bottom one, or the accompaniment one, down so that you have more bass. Now don't push it all the way down, because then you might lose out your melody. Or if you've got way too much bass happening, instead of coming over to your mixer and going, okay, I'm going to lower the bass, I'm going to lower the style, just go to your balance and touch more melody. And that will rebalance whether you have more bottom end or more top end, and that way it's going to give you a nicer sound according to what you want the sound to be. I love the balance button. It's fabulous. All right, what else did we miss? We missed the bank setup and the tap tempo and the bank storage. And we'll be just about done. This A bank, you have an A button next to your style setup. All right, there are sounds. Remember I said there's sounds in all your setups? without having the style setup on, the general setups. We're not even going to get to category setups either today. Your A bank has sounds of its own. So if you turn on A, you now will have beautiful organ sounds in 1 through 8. And then a completely a complementary sound on the bottom. So if you're looking for some beautiful organ sounds, you don't have to go to gospel. Just go to your A bank and get beautiful organ sounds. Beautiful organ sounds. Now I'll give you a hint on the EZ10. They're at the end of your they're at the end of your song setup. At the end of your song setup, you have about 5 beautiful organ sounds that are actually in your style, not your style setup, your song setup at the end of the list. But here, they're right here under the A bank, and they're very easy to get to. If your style setup, if your A button is on, your style setup goes off. If your style setup goes on, your A button goes off, because now it's changing all of these to be beautiful sounds for whatever background you want. If I touch A, I just switched them all to pretty organ sounds. And they're not necessarily going to balance, but they might. The A bank is also a programmable bank. So if we're at Christmas time and we did Christmas in Dixie and I told you I wanted you to memorize all kinds of presets so that you could just go down the line, well, guess what? You save them into the A bank and then you just put them into your bank storage. That's a whole nother lesson, but these are programmable. So you can do your favorite sounds with or without the rhythms that you're choosing. Any questions so far? No?
I see no questions.
No questions. Wow. No questions. And by the way, this beautiful organ is already spoken for, so if you want it, you're going to have to find a different store that has one because this one is spoken for. She's actually on today. So congratulations, Mona. You will love your fanfare. It's fabulous.
Yay, Mona.
Yay.
Dawn,
Carol, I think Carol Rye had a question. I saw
Yeah,
her
I have
hand.
a question.
Yep, I do see that.
I
Can
have
you
a
have-
question. Can you
Okay.
have Phil and no, I lost the glide
Glide. Uh-huh.
staying
On-
on at the same time?
No, you cannot have on your pedal magic. If you're putting it on the long pedals, you can have either or, but they're right next to each other.
Yeah. Okay.
But you can
you
only
can
have
switch-
one. You can't assign glide to one of these and fill to a different one. No, you have to have either or.
But can you switch back and forth while you're playing?
Yes, you can because all you have to do is touch the button.
Thank you.
Yep, you just touch your pedal magic and it will put it where you want it to be, and you can do that while you're playing on the fly. It's not going to hurt anything.
Thank you.
Looks like you have a question from Peg.
Okay, Peg?
hello. I have a quick question. Since you are down
Ooh.
that area,
Uh-huh.
the glide sustain, that is just one operation to sustain the glide. I don't have a separate sustain like you showed us in the class. I think you called it sustinato or something.
That sostenuto is a whole different thing. That's a whole different feature. And if you had it, it would be in the feature. And I don't think this particular organ has that. Sustain is something different. And glide, you don't sustain your glides. It's either or. If you're either on, whoops, that's not the right one. If you're either on a glide or it's a sustain, well, how do you know which one it is? It
Yes.
depends on the instrument you're on. In real life, for example, a piano cannot, come on, a piano cannot glide. So if I'm trying to glide a piano by stepping on a pedal, it's not going to glide. But you can sustain a piano. So if I play the note and then touch the pedal, it'll hold it longer.
Right. Okay.
Okay, so it sustains
Right.
the piano. If you have on an instrument that glides like a guitar,
Ooh, I like that.
uh-huh, yep, it's not going to sustain. So it depends on the instrument. If an instrument will glide in real life, it'll glide here. Okay, a violin will glide, the entire string section will not, because usually you don't have the entire string section gliding at the same time. But trombones, clarinets, most of your horns will glide, most of your guitars will glide, but if you're on pianos, that's not gliding. If you're on vibes, which are mallets, you're not
Right.
gliding. That would be a sustain.
Okay, thank you so much.
Am I going to show a quick view of the journey? No, because I don't have one.
Don't have one.
So,
The good
So,
news
nope.
is the computer decides for us and we don't have to know.
correct. That is correct. Yep. Yep. Okay, so the journey works exactly the same way as this. There's just more stuff. More stuff. But because the cabinet is the same, everything on here is the same, with the exception of how many more sounds you have, how many more music styles you have, how they show up 4 in a window instead of having Broadway full band, and then I have to go to group 2. With a journey, it would say Broadway full band. 4 of them would just show up in the window. So those of you with fanfares, you might say, oh, I might want to go to a journey because there's more stuff. And everybody eventually wants to have more stuff. Okay, we are out of time. And if there are no more questions, yes, this will be in Patreon, and this will be one of your freebies in Patreon. And the worksheet will be there. Robert already did put it in the chat, so you could use it.
Well, I'm going
any
to show it
way you
too.
want.
I'm going to show her quickly how to get there.
Okay.
And I got a couple announcements. One thing's something you're doing too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you mentioned yet, but I'm going to screen share, and I'm going to need a volunteer to tell me if they see this, because screen sharing has been a little awkward lately on, we don't know if it's Zoom or the computer. But Lauren, do you see that?
Yes,
Dawn,
we
do you
can
see
see
that?
it.
Yes.
Okay, so this email is scheduled to go out tomorrow. To like always, I send out a weekly notice. It's going to have your typical things on here. The product feature classes next week are in the next 7 days. Every week there's different series. So, and they're all on the website as well. So the A series, the E series, and it lists all the models that are encouraged to attend. SUs are encouraged to attend that. This one's going to be a fun class. This one, well, they're all fun, but this one's going to be, Myra is going to be teaching it from her home, and I'm going to be teaching, oh, I'm sorry, that's the other class. Sean is going to be teaching the A series from the Tucson store. He's driving down to Tucson to teach the class. And, whoops, woo! Let's zoom back. Okay, and he's got another event that he's doing there because he doesn't have a journey either. And so he's going to show it to a few people online. Anyway, the Conductor Magic class will continue. The Variety class is the one that Myra is going to be teaching from her home, and I'm going to be assisting her. So she's going to be teaching on one organ, on the bigger model, and then I'm going to be teaching on the smaller one, and we're going to kind of do that together because she's still restricted at home. Some previously recorded classes, of course, and then the classes that Daun, Joni, and Carrie teach. These are all, you're going to get daily updates. But next Saturday, a week from today at the exact same time, tell me if you see this. Do you see that lovely picture?
Yes.
Lauren is nodding. Dawn is going to do a Valentine Zoom musical. And this is not going to be just a concert. Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be a Name That Tune, love themes from the movies. So you're going to get to participate. And I don't know what she's going to hand out for prizes, but I heard she was going to hand out $100 bills for right answers. Now, I have to tell you that's virtual $100 bills, okay? And you can use that virtual money as your deposit on your next organ. So anyway, it has all the information there. Share it with a friend. It's open to the public. And then I always throw in an extra little bonus, previous Zoom musical or something at the bottom there. You can click on that. Now, the last thing, and while I'm talking, Dawn, maybe you can think of a closing number, because I think we should end the class with a little music, not just me talking.
Sure.
So that'll give her time to think of a song to play. try to pick a song that YouTube won't say your video is blocked. He tends to pick all these great songs, and those are the ones that YouTube blocked. That's okay. Do whatever you want. Now, the Patreon site is it's a combination of free content, bonus content for Patreon members. Here's an example of a video. This is what it looks like when you're a patron. So this EX class that I taught here, I told everybody, excuse me, who had an E-series, because it was an E-series, they could download this preset. Let me just pull this up. So I put some basic instructions. They can download this, and they get the 5 presets that I programmed right there on the class. And I went back and tweaked them, by the way, so they're beautiful. And there's some quick steps on how to do that. This is a little tricky. However, whenever there's a class like this, now if you're not a patron, it may say blocked. You may have to become a patron to view it. But a lot of times what will happen is the materials. Like, so today, I'm going to post the materials that Daun gave me, and it's going to look something like this. I don't have it yet, but here's an example. It'll say PDF. And when you see PDF, you click on it. Every computer is a little different, but what'll happen is it'll download it. And in this case here, I don't know if you can see it at the bottom here. On the bottom of my computer, it downloaded. It will go into what's called a download folder. Sometimes it'll open automatically. And once you do that, you'll get do you see that handout there, Lauren?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so, and then in that example, you'll be able to access the materials. So some of the content is free. Some of the content is required to become a patron. And I have to tell you, as time has shown us, we're ever evolving, and we've been working behind the scenes to create. We're working on creating some bonus content for patron members. There's special tips that aren't going to be part of the class. It may be a 3-minute video. There's merchandise that's going to be offered with Fletcher logos, just being a loyal member. All sorts of fun stuff coming up in the future. Presets. Setups for arrangements from all the various PAs, et cetera, et cetera. So stay tuned in. We are up to 88 members, I believe, on
Nice.
Patreon now. 86 members, sorry. So thank you for all you Patreon members. And it's only going to get better. We got a lot of great ideas. So we've been really exploring that. So with that said, we'll see you in classes next week. We'll see you at the concert next Saturday. Dawn's got a special number she's going to do to close off the event, and I will say farewell.
Okay, we're going to do a song that we did in class on Friday, and it's called I Got Rhythm, and it's just a nice upbeat song, and I think it's perfect for ending our session today. So I Got Rhythm on Smooth Foxtrot. Oh, I had my balance off. No wonder.
Woohoo!
All right.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
The crowd
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank
Great
you,
job, Dawn.
You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. And the next time, if and when I get a chance to do this, then we will go to the right side of the instrument, which, by the way, you don't have to know too much about that, because this, if you know this, it takes care of everything for you. So
Sounds like sounds like Don just volunteered to do that part next month.
I don't
Sounds
care.
like it. Great.
I don't care. That would be fine.
Bye-bye.
Bye. You guys are awesome.
Thank you.
Bye.